Hey, welcome back to Fix Everything. Thank you for tuning in today. A Vizio 32-inch flat screen TV. Was watching this about a week ago and heard a snapping sound or a popping sound. And I've read about this online, and it could be a couple of different things, but I took the back off and decided to inspect the circuit boards. We have the driver board here with all the brains in it, and then we have the power supply board, which is here. So everything told me to keep an eye on this. So all you really have to do is kind of look around. Now, the popping sound is most likely a capacitor of some kind. Now, you have can capacitors like this brown one there. It's tall, looks like a round building. And there's some black ones over here. These are capacitors. And the key here is to look at the tops. Are the tops swollen or bulging? That could be a problem. Could be an old capacitor. Could be a faulty capacitor. So there's quite a few on this board. So I looked around all over the place, and I didn't see a problem at all. Then I said, you know what, let's take a look at these blue ones. There's a couple of blue ones there. There's a bank of blue ones over here. And these are ceramic capacitors as well. So I looked carefully with a magnifying glass. And what you want to look for is at the base of where the leads actually go into the circuit board. Look for any burnt spots, smoke, char marks, something that might give you a telltale sign of something's wrong. Well, if you look between that resistor and that diode right there, there's two holes. I actually took that capacitor out because, I don't know if you can see this, but there it is. It was a tiny one. It's a 221K 1 kilovolt. And that's enough to knock you down. So that's a high voltage capacitor. And it's very difficult to see, but the bottom part of it is charcoal black. And there's a crack. Boy, that's really tough to see. And there's a crack in the side of this. So you can see the black down near the legs there. And that popped, I'm sure, and that's the snapping sound that I heard. So I took it right out of there. I ordered a pack of 100 from Japan. Apparently we don't make blue capacitors in this country, so I actually jumped onto eBay, and for $4.88 with the shipping, I have 100 of these coming. I'll never use them. I only need the one, but if you buy one from any electronics store, they have a minimum purchase of $50 plus shipping type of thing. So I said, that's okay. I fix pinball machines, circuit boards sometimes, who knows. But that's the culprit right there, I'm hoping. Also, I checked the fuses while I was in here. That fuse was fine, and I did a check on this one, and it was dead. And I actually replaced this already. It's a 3.15 amp, 250 volt fuse. So I just did the solder work on this one. I flipped the board over, desoldered both leads, and put this new one in. So that was dead, and it wasn't about to work, even if I replaced the ceramic capacitor. So I did check everything else. Everything else looks clean. There could be another problem, don't know. But for a total of about $8, I've got parts, and I said, you know what, I'll give it a try. If not, I'll chuck it and get a new one, because these are, you know, almost throwaways these days. So I'm trying to save it. If I can, great. If I can't, that's okay. Just be careful when you're doing any kind of solder board work, especially on the power supply. If you look all over the board, you'll see little things that say high voltage. There'll be lightning bolts all over the place, and there's the word hot, and then there's the word cold. So a lot of these capacitors hold a charge long after the TV set is even unplugged, so be careful. I am certainly not a professional. I do some light circuit board work. I'm pretty handy, so what I did was I unplugged it, and I let this sit for a good week or so. You can read online how to discharge this board so it doesn't zap you. Just be very careful where anywhere it says high voltage or hot. So I did discharge this board. That's another video, but you can check out YouTube on how to discharge your board before you handle it. So I'd hate to see you get knocked on your keister, so be careful there. But I will post the results in just a couple of seconds here. Here we are 2 weeks later. The capacitors have finally arrived, and here they are. 100 for about $5 with free shipping. I only need one. Before I took this capacitor off the board, I made a note of which way it was positioned. So I don't know if you can see, but there's words printed on this side and there's nothing printed on the other side. So I remember that the words were pointing down. So I'm going to actually put this in the board with the words facing down. Awesome. Bend those leads slightly to the side. You can see it on the other side. The leads are just bent, sitting there, right here. They're just sort of sticking out of the board right there. So I'll hot solder those in now. First I'm going to put a little bit of flux, the flux capacitor. Put a little bit of flux right there on the joint and on the lead, just so we have some adhesion, and a little bit of flux on the other one as well, just to give something for the solder to grab. Got the old soldering iron out, it's nice and hot, and I got a soldering spool, solder spool. I must confess, I am not the greatest solder guy in the world. That looks nice and clean. Got to heat your joint up really good first and then jam the solder right in there. There we go. It's flowing. And this tip is probably pretty crusty. Probably should replace it. There we go. Just take a little nipper, clipper. Used to have a really nice one. Don't know what happened to it. It was much finer, you get into these a little tighter. Okay, and there's the capacitor soldered into place right there, right between this diode and this resistor. Again, I replaced the fuse. And those two things were the only suspect that I could find on the board. So we're going to put it all together and give it a try. Okay, so you just want to put your board back on. You want to make sure you orient it correctly. We have a harness here, which matches the harness connector here. And we have two other harnesses on this side, the blue and the black here. So we're going to put this down just like this. Line up my screw holes. Kind of just falls right in. It's got little bumps and pins that seat it correctly. Pins right here. It says high voltage, so I don't know. I think I discharged the board pretty well. Clip, clip. And then we got this bad boy over here. Only goes in one way, can't miss. Nice. These are two different screws here. They were a little shinier, a little bit longer, and they actually go right where the plug port is on both sides of that socket. So keep track of your screws. Make a mental note, put them on a piece of paper, take a picture would probably be the easiest way with your phone. Okay, looks like I've got every screw in there. I'm just going to take a look at the board and make sure there's no pieces of metal or anything crossing or anything goofy. This looks great. The mother brain over here, the CPU with all the ins and outs, looks great. I haven't touched that. All the connectors are nice and solid. So I'm ready to put the case on. This just sort of sits right on the edge and in place. Medium-sized screw. Not sure what to call it, but these are the ones that go all the way around the outside here. And through the joy of editing, I won't keep you, and I will take care of this very quickly by doing a nice fade to end the suspense. And the last screw of the base. Power cord. Okay, gonna plug her in. Let's see how it goes. Kind of afraid. I am not a maintenance repairman. Okay, so I plugged it in. The Vizio symbol here is illuminated. It was not illuminated before. I'll go over to the old manual power switch on the side of the unit and see how we do with that. I'm going to just push this and then run. Ooh! The light turned white and the Vizio logo is up there! Oh my! Oh! Fantastic! That doesn't mean anything, so I have to put some input through it, but the screen did not light up before it was completely dead. I have an HDMI 1 symbol in the top, no signal. The power is on. I can hear a bit of hiss through the speakers. All great news. So let's see if I can plug this into the VCR. Yes, I still have a VCR with a DVD on one side. And that's how I originally found out this was defective. I was coming down to look at some old home movies that were transferred over onto a VHS tape, and the whole thing went pop. I could have purchased a board. These do come up now and again on eBay and other outlets. This is a Vizio E321VL, in case anyone's interested in the model. And they do come up now and again, anywhere from $35 to $55. I was very tempted just to buy one, but I thought, you know what? Let me try this. And for about $9 in parts, and this baby right here, the multimeter, and just some basic knowledge. And I don't pretend to be an expert. I do repair pinball machines for the last 10, 20 years, so I am fairly mechanical. But I did a lot of research and a lot of reading, and it's amazing what you can do if you give it a try. If this wasn't going to work, or if this didn't turn on, I was about to just chuck it, because, TVs are a dime a dozen. But you know what? Why not repurpose something? It's perfectly good. And I got to tell you, Vizio has a pretty darn good picture. I've always been impressed with them, and they're getting more and more expensive by the day. So there you go. Works. I'm assuming it's going to work. I'm going to plug a little something in, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up if you would, and please consider subscribing. I don't have a lot of content, but when I fix something, I usually post it. I will be posting another video in about a week. I did repair, or I'm just about finished repairing the hot tub, which is outside. Hopefully you're having a great day. I really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.